The history of phenomenon growth in trade and commerce is closely intertwined with that of development of the business professionals. At the same time, we have seen that when professionals falter, it causes domino effect across the globe. The prominent examples being that of Silicon Valley Bank, Credit Suisse, etc. In India too, we have had cases where the highest professional and ethical standards is truly followed would have been prevented collapse of companies like Satyam and IL&FS. What I am trying to emphasize that the core of the audit is the business ethics, the ethical audits, and the culture of responsibility and accountability, and also the basic fundamental value is business ethics. I am really very pleased to be addressing the bright young minds and one of India's leading educational institutions who will be shaping and participating in India's growth story in years to come. Today, India is a bright spot in the world economy with high GDP growth, rapid development of infrastructure, encouraging FDI flow, progressing towards third largest economy in the world. During the Amrit Kaal, the journey will continue attracting more investment, fund flow, development and growth. India has a demographic advantage of large young population, and it is expected that talented young people like you will have an opportunity to join in this journey to lead the country towards Viksit Bharat. Today, I would like to briefly touch upon my area of governance and administration. As you all know that and familiar with the essence of good governance and efficient and effective administration. Good governance is universally recognized as a cornerstone of statecraft, essential for achieving societal goals and addressing complex challenges. In a democracy, governments are repositories of public trust. As fiduciary, they are entrusted with responsibility handling tax revenues, allocating funds to address various societal needs such as education, health and infrastructure, etc. to mention a few. The fiduciary duties extend to long-term planning and debt management also. Governments are required to address economic stability, uphold the rule of law, and act transparently to build and maintain public trust. Effective governance demands accountability and ethical decision making to fulfill the fiduciary obligation inherent in the role as custodian of the public resources. With resources being scarce relative to human needs, it is essential that the measures of economic performance is properly undertaken, because that will lay the roadmap to an effective, efficient and economic allocation of resources for Sarvajan Hitai and Antodaya. You know it in 1992, the World Bank defined good governance in its report as the manner in which power is exercised in the management of a country's economic and social resources for development. It ascribes certain characteristics to the same, and I quote, "Good governance is democratic, consensus-driven, accountable, transparent and responsive, effective and efficient, equitable and inclusive, and adherence to the rule of law," unquote. In the realm of public administration, the success of government programs heavily depend on the principles of good governance, ensuring that resources are utilized wisely and the benefits reach the intended recipients. It serves as the bedrock for building trust between the government and its citizens, promoting transparency, accountability and responsiveness. In fact, one sutra in Kautilya's Arthashastra states that the use of science is the sight of truth, which can be one of the golden rules of accounting. He was the earliest philosopher to conceive of a distinct role of controller and auditor, who was known in Mauryan times as the Akshapatala Adyaksha, as separate from a treasurer to increase accountability and specialization and also reduce the scope of conflict of interest. Ethics was one of the main theoretical bases of the Kautilya's theory of statecraft. He believed ethical values were the cementing glue that held society together and promoted economic progress, which paved the way for greater welfare of the people and spearheaded by good governance. Having said about the governance and administration, because in the administrative realm, it is a very vast subject. You must be knowing so much of department and verticals, how the government runs through the various institutions. So talking about this institution particularly, I would like to emphasize the social sector, like the education part, which you are part of that. That is the building block for any society. That is why the future generations are, nurtured and they take over. So these kind of institutions and the policies and plans, when the different level, particularly the planning level, policy making level and implementing level, the responsibilities are different. Wherever the responsibility is there, there should be an accountability. It is inherent to that. So with that, I would now like to introduce how the Comptroller and Auditor General is placed in this part of role to, make it some kind of catalytic or complement the good governance. CAG as a constitutional institution has long history. You may not be knowing we have 163-year-old, more than 163-year-old history. It started in somewhere in 1860 and now we are almost in the 163rd year we have completed. And it serves as a supreme audit institution and is a friend, philosopher and guide to the legislature, aiding their efforts to enforce accountability of executive to the people. In a democracy or any form of government, the governments are only the agent, the principal is the citizen. On behalf of the citizen, they are elected or selected, they have that kind of role. So they are responsible to the people. The people means the representative of the people, which is the parliament or the state legislature. So we provide that kind of guidance, assurance through our audit. The institution has now more than 132 offices. Within and outside, there are 3 international offices also. We have offices in Washington, London and Kuala Lumpur. We are having more than 44,000 staff. It has a regional it has presence in various international organizations also. We have an apex body of 195 countries, like parallel to the UN organization. Around 195 countries are member there. That is called International Organization of Supreme Audit Institution, that is INTOSAI. So we are member of the INTOSAI. There are various regional organizations, around 7 regional organizations like Asian, African. We are also part of that. Various committees of the UN, we are part of that. And also various UN organizations, we have an exposure because we do a lot of audit. You must be reading in the newspaper also. We also get selected or elected for audit. We are currently auditing about 4 to 5 institutions like World Health Organization, International Labour Organization, the IAEA, that is the Atomic Energy Authority, then the Organization for Prevention of Chemical Weapons, also Food and Agriculture Organization. Besides, we play a role as member of the Supreme Audit Institution 20, that is the counterpart of G20, and BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization also. The role of CAG assumes significance in view of our federal multi-party democracy, wherein both union and the state governments are responsible for the formulation and implementation of large number of schemes involving substantial public resources. During the deliberations of the drafting committee of the Constitution, Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had very famously said, I quote, I am of the opinion that this dignitary or officer is probably the most important officer in the Constitution of India. He is the one man who is going to see that the expenses voted by the Parliament are not exceeded or varied from what has been laid down by Parliament in the Appropriation Act. If this functionary is to carry out the duties, and his duties, I submit, are far more important than duties even of the judiciary, he should have been certainly an independent as the judiciary. That's why Comptroller and Auditor is a constitutional authority, independent constitutional authority, and not affiliated to any executive or even the Parliament. It is not an officer of the Parliament also. So we whatever report we prepare, it is presented, submitted to the President of India or the state level in the governor of that state. So now I'll come to the audits. What kind of audit we do? You may be curious about that thing. You all know what is audit means. Audit means an independent examination of financial information of an entity. This may be also private entity also. That an audit could be many types. You are familiar. It may be an external audit, internal audit, pre-audit and post-audit. There are concurrent audit also. Other objectives of audit are not merely to find out the deviations, non-compliance and fault finding in lawful decision making, but it plays catalytic role in promoting efficiency and effectiveness. Different types of audit, which I will be elaborating, are taken up against the extant policies, rules, standards already prevalent at the time of audit. We inspect and examine records, and the audit reports thereon are based on evidences. We are supposed to give an assurance. Whatever audit we are doing, financial or compliance or performance audit, that is a kind of an assurance that it has to be very evidence-based and it is to be accurate, because as the Supreme Audit Institution, we are supposed to be the ultimate audit institution. So whatever we give, that is a kind of an assurance to the Parliament or the people of India. So the responsibility is very high on us. So accordingly, we have to address this issue of audit. So we carry out various kinds of audits. The first of all, you must be knowing, is the financial audit, the compliance audit and the performance audit. Most of these audits are in the nature of post facto audit, but as I said, they are for the relevant period. However, another type of audit is pre-audit, where examination and checking is done before actually taking the decision. This is more linked to a management function. Let me tell you about how we do the financial audit. The financial audit calls for close scrutiny against standards and practices, in-depth examination of budgetary deviations, and goes beyond mere vetting of figures. Here I would like to say that the accounting standards and accounting formats are prescribed by the President of India for the government accounts, maybe the states or any other, even the local governments, in consultation with the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So the accounting standards, whether it is in cash-based accounting or double entry bookkeeping, it has been, in consultation with the CAG, it has been finalized. So we see whether these accounting standards are being followed also. I would like to highlight the financial discipline is the linchpin of good governance, playing a pivotal role in ensuring responsible and transparent management of public resources. It also establishes a foundation for economic stability and attracts investors' confidence. It creates an environment conducive to sustainable development by ensuring the public finances and managed with the foresight of the prudence. In essence, financial discipline is not just a matter of fiscal responsibility. It is a cornerstone of good governance that underpins a government's ability to meet its obligation, enhance public welfare, and build a robust foundation for long-term economic prosperity. Here also I would like to mention that the FRBM Act. In the FRBM Act, it is about the sustainability, government's borrowings and others. That also we do the audits, whether the governments are borrowing sustainably, whether the debt of the country is sustainable, that part also we give. So the sustainability part is also being audited and it is been, submitted to the Parliament. Apart from the financial audit, we do the compliance audit, which requires conformity with the law, rules and procedures. Basically, our audits universe is, can be summarized in only a few things. One is to see the legality, propriety, transparency and accountability. That is mostly the compliance as well as the financial part. When we see the performance audit, that we see the 3 E's, that is the economy, efficiency and effectiveness. That's why that I will explain. So it is very important to emphasize that the audits are conducted not just for a deterrent effect, but also for serving as a catalyst for institutional improvements. In its audit reports, the CAG helps identify areas of weakness, inefficiencies, malpractices within government department and provides recommendations for the same. This feedback loop encourages corrective measures and enhances the quality of governance, which is pivotal for sustained development. In the compliance audit, it is compliance to the extant rules and regulation, the powers, delegated powers, or it is propriety, whether this has been exercised properly, legally, within the limit of the delegated power, also as per the guidelines or the standards or various guidelines. So the compliance audit is against that. Where the performance audits conducted by us are to provide assurance to the Parliament on the effectiveness, efficiency and economy in projects and schemes, etc. Particularly, it examines prudent usage of resources, efficient and timely execution of planned projects and schemes, and the effectiveness or even outcome of such activities. So we strive not to stop efficiency but go till the last mile, that is effectiveness. And in this manner, we look at 3 E's of economy, efficiency and effectiveness. Time overrun and cost overrun, etc. are dealt, which serve as an aid to good governance by helping the executive to make mid-course correction and improve system and procedures. The performance audits are conducted to comprehensively apprise the schemes and public programs. Accountability, transparency, efficiency and effectiveness are assertions that are tested in audit. Such independent checks on the functioning of the government provides credibility to the executive and confidence to the public at large. Securing accountability of the government protects its fiscal stability and its image globally. Although accountability does not start and end with audit, it emphasizes the need to fix responsibility for healthy governance. Different types of audits, as mentioned, promotes pervasive sense of accountability, promotes course correction, optimal use of resources, efficient and effective implementation of plans, projects and programs, etc. Thereby it complements the administration and good governance. At this juncture, I would again note that these principles are not exclusive to public functionaries alone. Practicing financial discipline is essential to those in the private sector and also in our own daily lives. Businesses that keep an eye on both the top and the bottom lines are often successful in meeting their obligation to all stakeholders. On the other hand, there have been several cases where the readiness of easy capital led to wasteful expenditure, losing sight of the target and eventual collapse of business. Of late, it is heartening to see the initiative that various departments and offices, also the country, have come up with improved public service delivery. There has been a greater push towards using technology, knowledge management tools, data-driven policy formulation and implementation, which has been almost revolutionary in formulation and delivery of programs. The general trend of moving towards good governance using new and innovative tools is very reassuring. The leveraging of mobile telephony network to transmit information, services and benefits has been a game changer in the recent years. The ability to harness innovation is critical to addressing challenges and finding efficient solutions to the problem of today and tomorrow. This applies not just for those in the public sector, but for all those present in the room today also. What I mean to say that the emerging technologies, those who are beneficial and they are facilitating all these activities, governments and transactions You have been seeing the DBT and the JAM Trinity kind of a thing. But they have various challenges due to the emergence of various technology, particularly AIs, and the data protection issues and security and safety issues. Even data standardization is a problem. So often it is very difficult to have a proper audit. That is also a problem. So this is another challenge we also face as an auditor, how to do the IT audits. We also do the IT audit. In the IT audit, the systems are being audited and how it is secure or that kind of thing. At the same time, how the benefits are being transmitted through this kind of technology. Similarly, you will be also facing this kind of challenges in your day-to-day life. Even in the private sector, this will be a challenge. So this is another area. So we are focusing on that, how to use this and leverage these emerging technologies. Similarly, the history of phenomenon growth in trade and commerce is closely intertwined with that of development of the business professionals. At the same time, we have seen that when professionals falter, it causes domino effect across the globe. The prominent examples being that of Silicon Valley Bank, Credit Suisse, etc. In India too, we have had cases where the highest professional and ethical standards is truly followed would have been prevented collapse of companies like Satyam and IL&FS. What I am trying to emphasize that the core of the audit is the business ethics, the ethical audits, and the culture of responsibility and accountability, and also the basic fundamental value is business ethics or any kind of ethics, whatever, that is the bedrock. In such a scenario, another important area of modern day of professional is the issue of sustainable development paradigm. The maxim popularized in 1980s that greed is good requires a serious rethink if our planet has to sustain itself. This is all about the sustainable development goals. You must be knowing there are 17 goals and 180 plus targets which are to be met. It is not only the government has to meet, it is everywhere, the individually also. That's why the concept of lifestyle has been advocated by the Honorable Prime Minister, because at every level this has to be practiced. Then only we can achieve the sustainability. The university or the college or the institution has also to be sustainable. It has to be sustainable, then only this sustainability part will come. We also globally audit the sustainability part also. All the Supreme Audit institutions are carrying out this audit also to see that whether the goals are being met, what the allocations are being properly channelized for the particular purposes. So this kind of audit also we are undertaking. So this is another issue. So the sustainability part also is required, because intergenerational equity has to be maintained, and we will have to see that this also has to be kept in mind. While in the private sector or any other sector, while profit maximization and wealth creations are rightfully the drivers of the private sector, my only suggestion to all of you is to also keep in mind your social responsibility, which extends beyond simply paying taxes. As India enters in the Amrit Kaal, you are in a position of great privilege. The country looks towards you to lead the way in economy and science, policy, research, etc. As the world hails India's demographic dividend, harnessing it will require more training, skilling, and opportunities. You are the generation that will lead India to the next few decades. And I am sure your time in this prestigious institution will equip you with the tools that you will need to face the world. So, without much talking about the audit institution, because even audit also I'll talk about, it will be a very vast subject, or with the accounting part also, or even the governance part also. Perhaps after this there will be some question answer also. So I'll try to address those things. So to end with, my final advice will be to make the most of the opportunities that are coming in your way. Think of how you can benefit your nation and how your work can help you fellow Indians. Today, India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and we need to continue this strong push. Job creators instead of job seekers are just as important. To conclude, I wish you all the bright future ahead and would like to thank the management and faculty for giving me this opportunity to speak here today. Thank you.
I want to know how the CAG functions in general auditing and the role in the public accounts committee.
See, under the constitution, we have been given very specific, mandate kind of thing. We have only 3 or 4 sections, the articles in the constitution. It is, it comprises from Article 148 to 51. We are supposed to finalize the accounts of the union and the state government, also carry out the audit. That audit part has not been defined, but audit has come, it is a part of that. Also, we are supposed to advise or in consultation with us, the accounts standards as well as the formats are to be prescribed for the maintenance of public account. So because of that, we have our audit universe is very large. Not only we are auditing the union government accounts or their departments for the performance and the compliance audit, all the ministries and their PSCs as well as the board and corporations, particularly the boards, autonomous bodies. Also we do the audit. Similarly, all the state governments. It is a rare kind of an opportunity to or the assignment to us, because globally normally the federal governments or the union government, there is a separate audit mechanism, the Comptroller, Auditor General or the Board of Auditors, different countries, and there is a court they competes also there. Certain countries, that is particularly the sub-nations, they have even the judicial system. They have that kind of system, but we have this kind of assignment that both the union government and the state governments, their departments, their accounts, their PSCs and all we are doing the audit. Similarly, in the globally, we also are auditing our embassies, wherever it is there, embassies and the board and corporation, those who are functioning in the foreign land. That's why we have an offices in other countries also. As I said that we have got in Washington, London and Kuala Lumpur. So we have on deputation we send our officers for certain specific period. They have that jurisdiction. They also submit this kind of audit. Apart from that, we also audit the UN organizations, as I mentioned in my, I think the address, that we also participate in that, and a lot of forum, global forum we represent, and some is a capacity of member as also chair. We get elected from time to time. So now currently we are chair of the Asian Association. So we will be calling a general body meeting here sometime in September here in Delhi. Also from the inception, we have been a member or chairman of one committee of the INTOSAI, that is the knowledge sharing and knowledge service. That's why all the standards, whatever the accounting and auditing standards are being prescribed, or through the committees and subcommittees, we disseminate that thing. It comes to us, and through us it is being done. That also is a very regular feature. As you know, all the standards internationally, there is an accounting standard board as well as the auditing standard board. There also we represent. Our representatives are there. So the scope is very large. So everything, wherever the government fund flows, it can be there. Thank you.